In the beginning, there was only chaos, a dark, empty void with no heavens and no earth. It spread throughout, lacking shape and form, and continued this way for a long time. Suddenly, light and a translucent mass appeared in this darkness, forming the plane of high heaven. Not long after, the first being emerged from here, called Ame no Minakanushi no Mikoto, the deity of the august center of heaven. After this deity came Takami Musubi no Mikoto, the high august producing wondrous deity, and then followed by Kami Musubi no Mikoto, the divine producing wondrous deity. Together, these three deities became known as the three creating deities. While the three creating deities emerged from a light and translucent place, the cosmos created a new mass, one that was heavy and dense. Over many eons, it grew larger and denser until it finally became the solid ground. Time continued to pass, and the earth floated within the darkness like oil on water. A reed grew from this mass, and from it emerged Omashi Ashi Kahibi Hikohi no Mikoto, the pleasant reed shoot prince elder deity, and Ame no Tokotachi no Mikoto, the heavenly eternally standing deity. After the birth of these two deities came many more. Their numbers increased, but the world continued to spin in chaos with nothing for them to do. Determined to do something about this, the heavenly deities joined together and ordered the deities Izanagi and Izanami to go to the dark world. Together, they were tasked to make it into a hospitable world to rule over. They bestowed upon them a spear named Ama no Nuboko, which was adorned with fabulous jewels. Izanagi and Izanami agreed to the task and received the spear graciously. After departing the heavens, they made their way to the floating bridge of heaven, which connected heaven and the earth, and gazed upon the mass before them. What they saw was a sea of fog that covered the ground, the air perfumed with a strange scent. As they gazed down at this unfamiliar sight, neither knew how to start. However, after a while, Izanagi suggested that they should use the spear to stir the fog. He picked up the spear and poked it into the fog, swirling it around until he felt the spear touch something. When he withdrew the spear, drops fell from the tip and created the first island, today still called Onokoro. Happy at creating the first landmass, Izanagi and Izanami descended from the floating bridge of heaven and decided they would live on it as they continued with creating the rest of the country. They wished to marry and produce offspring, so they created a gigantic pillar called the Heavenly August Pillar in the center of the first island. After this, they created their home, a palace called the Hall of 8 Fathoms. Izanagi turned to the left, Izanami turned to the right, and both walked around the pillar opposite each other. When they saw each other again, the goddess Izanami was the first to speak. They copulated and conceived their first child, a deformed male Keitiruko, leech child, who later became known in Shintoism as Ebisu. Disgusted by his appearance, they placed him in a reed boat and set him adrift. The couple repeated the act, but the second babe was just as ugly and deformed as the first. After setting them adrift in another boat, Izanagi and Izanami returned to the heavens to inquire what they were doing wrong. The gods informed them the reason was that Izanami greeted her husband first, when it should be the other way around. Izanagi and Izanami then returned to Earth and decided to go around the heavenly pillar once more. This time, Izanagi spoke first, and Izanami replied after this. They continued to have children, each one as beautiful as they wanted. The island of Awaji was first, Shikoku was second, then Oki, then Kyushu. The island of Tsushima was next, and lastly, Honshu, the main and largest of the Japanese islands. Izanagi and Izanami continued to have more children in the form of islands that surrounded the larger ones.